Hello family, it's your Reverend, Comrade Martin, and I'm here to bring you a very important message. Mitt Romney is the devil. And I don't mean he's like the devil, you know, he's not like the one guy who's the embodiment of Satan on earth. Obama is also the embodiment of Satan on earth. Many politicians are. Most politicians. Most police commissioners. Okay, there's a lot of them, but we're going to start in particular with Romney, because he is the forerunner of the Republican Party, and as the result of that, we have to judge his views in particular as the views representative of the leading opposition to President Obama. I'm also part of the opposition to President Obama, but my views on the matter are quite different. When I read the Bible, I read something different, obviously, than something Mitt Romney has read. You know, there's all kinds of different translations, the New International, the King James Version, you know, you never really know what's going on there. So, in my version, Jesus says, "When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me." In Romney's version, it says something to the tune of, "When I was hungry, you cut my food stamps. When I was naked, you said, no shirt, no shoes, no service." Later, he says, "When I was in prison, you increased the funding, so I would stay there for longer." That's not a righteous agenda, as far as I can tell, but perhaps I'm the one in error. So Romney says something to the tune of 47% of Americans who rely on government assistance have no sense of personal responsibility, and are insane, was a word he chose to use. I appreciated that very much. I'm very proud of my insanity, and I like to stress that wherever I can. But in particular, I found it very revealing. I mean, it's not very surprising, you know, he's always been a candidate for the rich. He's a rich guy, you know, he didn't go to my kind of public school, okay? Public schools, by the way, of which they're closing 40 or is it 70? I don't know, it's an absurd number like that. It's so absurd that I can neither believe it or keep track of it. But that's how many public schools are being closed in Philadelphia, which is also under a Republican administration at this time. And the state is, of course, where they've also cut cash assistance. Very interesting times we're living in. The majority of the world, though, if we look at the context of politics, people aren't actually as irresponsible in this country as Romney would have us believe. The reality is that most people in this country are the way that they are, which is not really caring about education, not really caring about the future, not because they don't really care, but because they have no understanding of an outlet for their abilities and talents, which is not, to me, very surprising in the context of America as it is, because there aren't very many opportunities, not like they used to be. We have an almost 20% unemployment rate, real unemployment rate. Even Romney's admitted that if you take into account not only the people that have recently lost their job or are receiving unemployment, but the many people who have essentially given up on finding work and have started working in underground sectors, and trust me, there's a lot of them. But in particular, Romney has made it clear that he is not a friend of those people. In his view, when Jesus said we have to help those who want to help themselves, there's absolutely no way in which we can understand that as people wanting to help themselves but don't know how and need help. They have to actually have a clear agenda, you know what I mean? They have to have a business plan, apparently, for Romney to consider them part of what Jesus was talking about. You know, all those starving, homeless, hungry, sick people that Jesus helped and healed, all of those people must have already been, you know, supply-side economics Republicans back in the, you know, year 32 or whatever. So, the fact of the matter is that Romney represents a very new tendency, but so does Obama, that are part of American politics today. In the context of the world environment, it's not terribly surprising that people would still vote in droves for such a man, even when their benefits are under threat or otherwise their material interest is against it. When I was riding down to Tampa, the woman I was with, her name is Tara, a very important member of the Green Party in Philadelphia and of the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign, which organized the Romneyville that I stayed in, you know. That's what they call it, Romneyville. I don't know if I mentioned that. But the situation, such that she says they either want our kids to go to prison or go to the military. And considering that I've seen that after they cut the public schools in Philly, by the way, by something like $200 million, they increased prison funding in the state of Pennsylvania by about $400 million. I don't know where they got that money, guys, but somewhere. So I think she's right, and I think that that is the case. And that is why people like Romney want to go to war with Iran, to to justify the military budget, to use the people and the unmanned drones that we're creating many of to militarily intervene in Iran. Obama will do the same thing. It doesn't matter which one of them is in power, because both of them are puppets on strings, okay? Muammar al-Gaddafi actually put it well that maybe Obama is like looking at it like Kennedy, you know, and seeing how Kennedy tried to actually prevent the invasion of Cuba and prevent the Israelis from acquiring a nuclear bomb, and lo and behold, he gets shot in the head. Wonder how that happened. Perhaps that's what Obama's thinking. But if Obama was a righteous man, living justly, living by true principles, he wouldn't be afraid of persecution. He wouldn't be afraid of martyrdom, because he would know that there are rewards for those who do right and are persecuted for it. God doesn't forget that. God doesn't forget that kind of contribution. We know that. That's why we're involved in what we're involved in. At least, if you're not already involved, I hope you're considering it, considering the context of the world environment. It just came out, a study in Greece, that shows that the neo-Nazi party of Greece has 22% of popular support. And they're not neo-Nazis like hiding, you know, and they're tricking people with vague slogans. No, their motto, I believe, is blood, honor, and I forget the last word. It's like purity or whatever. Their other motto is Greece for the Greeks. They have a swastika flag. They have they do Sieg Heils at their marches all the time, and it's not disguised. There's no confusion here. You have many ethnic Greeks coming to the conclusion that illegal immigration is the biggest problem they face. Now, of course, they have actually a bigger illegal immigration problem than the United States does, and I'm sure there are economic consequences as a result of that. You know, people coming from Africa and the Middle East, and they're bringing imported goods for cutthroat prices, but that's not justification to hurt people. That's not justification to do violence against people. That's not what Jesus talked about, and clearly the people of Greece are abandoning that notion. And I feel as if, I'm worried as if that the Romney tide and the Obama tide are both representing false Christianities that will eventually result in the abdication entirely of the role of Jesus in anything they have to say or do, which is already the case, realistically. When you're going out, as Obama is doing, and using unmanned drones to kill children in Yemen or Libya, then you've already crossed over that threshold. You're already evil. You've already committed your soul to hell. Obama is going to hell. Don't have any mistake about it. That's the most sincere thing I can tell you as a reverend, as a man of faith, as a speaker of faith, and that is that Obama's going to hell. Romney's going to hell. All of those guys are going to hell. I certainly hope that Obama's kids can learn from the evil mistakes of their despicable father and not go to hell. I hope Michelle might be able to find a way, but right now, she's on the fast track. The road to damnation is broad, the Bible tells us. It's broad so it can fit their stretch limousines and SUVs, okay? So it can fit their helicopters on trailers. It's not broad just because there's lots of people, although that is the case. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people going to hell because a lot of people aren't paying attention and doing the right thing. Now, that's what I'm really here to tell you, is that we have to be doing the right thing. I'm all about righteous principles. I'm all about working together. I'm not of the orientation religiously that we have to accept dogmas in order to attain the kingdom of heaven. That's not what Jesus was really saying anyway. And that's not what many of the other faiths of the indigenous folks around the world, which are curiously all quite similar, despite the fact they didn't have the wisdom of Jesus that came to them, and he has to be accepted, or we have to bow down before the Catholic Church or whatever and stop using condoms. The main concern that people need to have is whether or not their life is being lived righteously. And if not, it needs to be changed. And we have to help people change in a way that has love at its core. Okay? If people need to change, we don't accuse them, we don't belittle them, we don't hate them. Because that's not the spirit of love and peace and change that what we're really looking at the gospel is talking about. The full gospel says that, okay? But that's not what Romney represents. Romney represents the opposite, the Antichrist system. Obama is the president of the Antichrist system, a system that says that the poor should be left in the dust, a system that says that we are a free country that it's a wonderful place to live because I'm able to make this video, therefore America's good, right? Because I'm not going to be shot tomorrow for making a video calling the president Satan, or the next presidential candidate Satan for that matter, or what have you. Well, the reality of it is, and the only reason I'm free to say this is because the majority of us are so attached to our material privilege, whether that's our good jobs or it's our food stamps, that we don't want to rebel. We don't want to challenge it, okay? We want to sit back and we want to just ride it out and hope things get better. Well, you can't do that forever, because eventually there won't be anything to ride out on. There's going to be riots in the streets eventually. You know, and you don't want to be caught at that point saying, "Oh, I thought that Obama was going to change everything." You know, "Oh, I thought Mitt Romney was going to fix this shit, man." You know, that's not going to happen. Okay, that's crazy. That's insane. All right, and I'm almost surprised to have to say it, but I'm not really, I guess, because I've talked to enough people in the street to realize where we're at as a country, and we're in a very perilous position. We have to start doing something, family, before it's too late, before the country's in flames and everybody starts dying. And once that does start happening, you better believe I'm going to have my AK-47 and I'm going to be safeguarding the flag. We're not going to be sitting back and dying, you know. We plan to be persecuted. We don't plan to die, you know, unless we get forcibly killed, you know. So, but I just want to leave you with the thought that we are in a country and in a time where 40,000 kids are starving to death every day, and they live in countries where we're taking copper, and we're taking gold, and we're taking diamonds, and we're taking oil, the most valuable resources on the planet, well, among the most valuable resources at least. And I remember I was in a college recently watching someone playing on a computer, a bunch of people playing on computers, mind you, actually, not just one guy, playing World of Warcraft on computers that are built with copper and gold that comes from countries where kids are starving to death. That's a moral trip right there. You know what I mean? That really made me question my existence, sitting there on a computer. I was on Facebook, so I guess I'm just as guilty in some respects, you know, for wasting an invaluable resource that could be used for good, to help people. That's the problem of America. It's not a problem of freedom and oppression and all the stuff that happens everywhere else, but it also does happen here. Poverty also does happen here, but it's not on the scale of children starving to death, children who are crying themselves to sleep at night until they cry their last cry because they're hungry. They don't even know their names. They're not even old enough to know what country they've been born into, to be so misfortunate as to die in the hands of their starving mothers. That is a ludicrous world that we have to be living in and not thinking about. A world where, rather than fix the problems of everybody and working internationally, you've got Mitt Romney and Obama here who are lying and using the word of Christ falsely to hurt people and kill people and rape people and maim people. And don't be mistaken, I'm not using crazy words that are to you know, inflame the situation. These are literal facts, okay? These are things that are happening right now in the world. And I'm not saying that to depress you or upset you or make you angry. Angry might be the best of the three, but I'm not here to spread anger or hate. I'm here to spread a message of hope that at least I believe that things can be better. At least I believe that just because there's no political party with any chance of winning that actually believes that all of these things are problems and has to change, just because there's nobody like that doesn't mean that nobody believes that. And if you at least have one person and one place to go as a refuge for reason, then by all means use me to that end. I'm here to be used. I'm here to, I actually heard a quote the other day that a martyr has three choices. Either gets used, mocked, or forgotten. Well, I'm not trying to be forgotten. I would rather not be mocked. And I'm okay with being used, but I'll go with mocked and used. That's fine, honestly. It's better than the alternative, which is either to be forgotten or to not be a martyr. I plan to be a martyr. My name, the letters of my name are simply one letter off of it. M-A-R-T-Y-R. Yeah, there's an extra R. So I had to think about that. I won't win the next spelling bee. Actually, I might. I can spell words pretty good, but that's beside the point. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you continue to follow the works that I'm working on and the church that I'm building in Philadelphia. I'm actually headed there in 2 days. One of my future congregants is coming today to help me pack up my stuff. We're going to, spend some time in New York here before I leave, and I'm off to Philly. New York, of course, being the center of Babylon, it is the capital of evil, where everything seems to be really nice here. There doesn't seem to be too many problems, really. And it's all, of course, built on the mass murder and enslavement of most people in the world. This city will change. This country will change. And I'm proud to be part of the movement to do that. So, thank you very much for watching, and have a blessed day.